Why do some people work every single day, sweat, grind, and still end up with nothing, while others playing a game you can't even see, climb higher, richer, untouchable? This is not just luck. It's not even only hard work. It's psychology. It's manipulation. It's power. And it's been studied for centuries by men like Machiavelli, who understood the dark truths about wealth and control. You see, the rich don't just make money. They shape the rules. They bend perception. They use human nature itself like clay, molding it into something that works for them, while you stay stuck believing the game is fair. But here's the secret Machiavelli would whisper. Money is never fair. Money is power, and power is a game. Those who understand the game win. Those who don't, stay broke. Think about it. You may believe hard work alone is the answer. Yet look around. How many people do you know who work 2 jobs, day and night, but still struggle to pay bills? The system doesn't reward effort. It rewards strategy. And strategy requires knowing how people think, how they can be swayed, how they can be controlled. That's where Machiavelli comes in. His writings were not only about kings and rulers. They were about human nature itself. How people chase comfort, how they fear loss, how they cling to illusion. Those same weaknesses are what the rich exploit today, silently. While you keep playing by rules that were never designed to make you win, the wealthy understand something most people don't. Appearances are stronger than reality. A person who looks successful, who acts confident, who moves with authority, people will hand them trust, respect, and often money, even when their foundation is fragile. That's why the rich invest, not only in assets, but in image, networks, and influence. It's the art of manipulation, hidden under the mask of normal business. Meanwhile, the ordinary worker is busy counting hours and wages, blind to the fact that someone else is pulling the strings. And here's the part that should disturb you. Many of the techniques used by the rich aren't about fairness or morality. They're about control, delaying gratification while others spend, using information that others don't have, turning envy into a weapon by selling people dreams they can never reach. This is Machiavellian psychology at work. Power is not about kindness or fairness. Power is about results. The truth is, money psychology is not neutral. It's designed to keep most people comfortable enough to keep working, but never powerful enough to escape. You are encouraged to envy, to consume, to compare, to spend what you don't have on things you don't need. That way, the game continues. And the same people who understand this game continue to rise while you are trapped by invisible chains. But in this video, we're not here to repeat what you already know. You've heard before that rich people think differently, or you just need discipline. No, we are diving deep. We are going into the darker corners of psychology, into the real strategies of manipulation and power that explain why you stay broke while others get rich. We will uncover how belief systems are shaped, how perception is managed, how control works, and how you can begin to see through it all. Because once you see the strings, you're no longer the puppet. Machiavelli once wrote that men are driven more by what they see than by what is true. Remember that line as we go forward. Because by the end of this video, you will not only understand how others have used that truth against you, you will know how to use it for yourself. So if you've ever wondered why your effort doesn't match your reward, why the same families and elites stay rich while everyone else fights for scraps, stay with me until the end. Because what you'll hear today is not the usual self-help advice. This is the hidden script of power, written centuries ago, still working today, shaping every move in the game of money.
Welcome to Psych Algorithm. If you're ready to see the world without illusions, subscribe now, because what you'll learn here won't just change how you see money. It will change how you see power and yourself. Before we talk about the strategies of the rich and the powerful, we need to look at the invisible walls that keep most people stuck where they are. These walls are not made of stone or steel. They are made of beliefs, habits, and illusions. They are psychological traps, and unless you recognize them, you will keep walking in circles, wondering why nothing ever changes.
The first trap is the belief that money follows hard work. It sounds noble, it sounds fair, but in reality it blinds you. The truth is money doesn't follow effort. It follows leverage, perception, and control. While you spend your life trading time for wages, the wealthy spend their time trading ideas, influence, and resources. The trap is not in working hard. It's in believing that hard work alone is enough. Machiavelli would say that those who cling to this illusion become servants in a game ruled by others. The second trap is emotional. Fear. Fear of failure. Fear of rejection. Fear of risk. Most people live in this cage without realizing it. They stay where they are because it feels safe, even when safe means broke. The wealthy, on the other hand, understand that fear is a tool. They use it to control others, but they also master it within themselves. They step into uncertainty while everyone else steps back. That is how opportunity is seized. That is how power is taken. Now let's talk about manipulation. This is a word people hate to hear, yet they experience it every single day. Advertisers manipulate desire. Employers manipulate loyalty. Politicians manipulate fear. And the laity manipulate all of it, because they know the rules of the human mind. They know that people want to feel secure, valued, envied. They create illusions of success, and the crowd follows. They understand that it's not truth that moves people, but perception. Machiavelli himself said appearances are stronger than reality, and the rich live by this principle. They don't just own money, they own the story of money. Power dynamics are another part of the game. You might think money creates power, but often it is the other way around. Power attracts money. The person who can influence others, who can shape decisions, can control outcomes, will always find wealth following close behind. Look at history. Kings, merchants, politicians, tycoons. It was never about who worked hardest in the field. It was about who had the power to make others work for them. Power creates wealth, because power directs the flow of resources, and power comes from understanding how people think and how they can be led. And then there is the mindset shift. This is not just about positive thinking. It is about breaking the cycle of dependence and passivity. Most people are trained to wait for a paycheck, wait for offal, wait for luck. The wealthy don't wait. They act, they adapt, they create. Their mindset is built on the principle of control. Control your image, control your resources, control your time, control your circle. Even when they lose, they learn how to twist loss into leverage. That is a shift most people never make, because they are trapped in short-term comfort instead of long-term power. But here is where the promise lies for you. Once you begin to see these traps, once you understand manipulation and power dynamics, the game starts to look different. Suddenly, you're not just reacting, you are watching, analyzing, choosing. You start noticing how envy is used against you, how comparison keeps you broke, how convenience drains your future. You begin to step back from the crowd and ask, who benefits if I act this way? That question alone separates you from the trap. Most people never escape. Think of it this way. Every time you spend money to impress others, someone else grows richer. Every time you fear taking a step forward, someone else steps in and takes the opportunity. Every time you wait for fairness, someone else uses the unfairness to their advantage. That is the brutal reality. And until you shift your mindset, you are giving away your power without even knowing it. So before we talk about how the rich rise, we have to uncover why you stay stuck. Not because you're weak, not because you're unlucky, but because you've been playing a game without knowing the rules. And once you learn those rules, psychological traps, manipulation, power dynamics, mindset shifts, you will never look at money the same way again, because then you will see what Machiavelli saw centuries ago, that power is never given, it is always taken, and those who take it control everything else. Money doesn't just live in your wallet, It lives in your mind. Long before you ever touch a paycheck, your thoughts about money are already shaped by the world around you. Your family, your culture, your early lessons. Some of you grew up hearing phrases like money doesn't grow on trees, or rich people are greedy, or even wanting too much is selfish. These aren't just harmless sayings. They are scripts, planted in your mind like seeds. And when they grow, they shape how you behave with money without you even noticing. If you've been told that money is dirty, you may secretly feel guilty for wanting more. If you've been taught that wealth corrupts, you might sabotage yourself whenever you get close to success. These beliefs run deep, and they don't care about logic. They operate in the background, controlling your choices like hidden wires in a machine. Culture reinforces these scripts. In some places, humility is praised, and ambition is seen as arrogance. In others, poverty is romanticized as noble, while wealth is painted as soulless. Families pass down not only their genes, but their fears and limitations. If your parents struggled, chances are you inherited their caution. If they avoided risk, you probably do too. And here's the tragic part. The very beliefs designed to protect you end up trapping you. They keep you from seeing opportunities, from taking chances, from thinking bigger. The result, you stay in the same cycle, working hard but never breaking free. And then there is fear. Fear is the invisible fence that most people never cross. The fear of failure whispers that trying and losing would be worse than not trying at all. The comfort zone promises safety, even though that safety comes at the cost of growth. Many people would rather stay broke than risk stepping into the unknown. They cling to jobs they hate because it feels secure. They hold back ideas because rejection feels unbearable. They avoid investment because losing money feels more painful than the chance of gaining it. Fear creates paralysis, and paralysis creates poverty. But here's what Machiavelli would point out. The world belongs to those who are willing to act, despite fear. He would say that fortune favors the bold, not the cautious. Look at history. Those who rose to power didn't do so by waiting in safety. They moved forward when others held back. They risked reputation, resources, even their lives. And that hasn't changed today. The wealthy are not always the smartest or the hardest working, but they are often the ones who dared to play the game while others stayed on the sidelines. This brings us to a darker truth. Many of the rich and powerful play by principles that make most people uncomfortable. Psychology today describes Machiavellianism as a personality trait built on manipulation, self-interest, and moral flexibility. It's part of what psychologists call the dark triad, a set of traits that includes Machiavellianism, narcissism, and psychopathy. On the surface, these sound dangerous, but in the hands of the wealthy, they become strategy. A Machiavellian individual knows how to charm, deceive, or persuade to get what they want. They know how to mask their intentions, how to pull strings without being seen. The Power Moves, a site that studies social dynamics, explains that Machiavellianism is not always about cruelty. It is about understanding the game of influence and being willing to bend rules when necessary. The difference lies in intention. Someone unethical uses these traits to exploit and destroy. Someone strategic uses them to win, without revealing all their cards. The wealthy often walk this line carefully. They are not always villains, but they are rarely naive. They understand that morality is flexible in practice, and they use this awareness to navigate situations where others would freeze or fail. Now think about how this plays out in everyday life. A wealthy entrepreneur knows how to negotiate a deal by reading the weaknesses of the other side. A politician knows how to spin a failure into a victory with the fate words. A corporate leader knows how to create loyalty through appearance, while quietly cutting costs behind the scenes. These are Machiavellian strategies at work, managing perception, bending narratives, gaining influence, and perception is everything. Machiavelli himself said people are moved more by what they see than by what is true. The wealthy take this to heart. They understand that appearances often matter more than reality. That's why they invest heavily in image. The car they drive, the clothes they wear, the people they associate with. All of these are tools. When others see success, they assume competence. When they see confidence, they assume power. Reality may be fragile, but perception creates trust, status, and influence. Medium articles on Machiavelli point out that appearances can be crafted like armor. You don't have to be the strongest or the richest. You just have to look like you are. Once people believe in your image, they will treat you as if it's real, and often that belief becomes reality itself. That's how some wealthy individuals climb, not by what they truly own, but by how they present what they own. Meanwhile, those who ignore image, who think only reality matters, remain invisible, passed over, underestimated. But while appearances can build power, emotions can destroy it. This is where envy and comparison come into play. Most people measure themselves against others constantly. They see their neighbor buy a new car and feel they must upgrade theirs. They see someone on social media living lavishly, and they feel the pressure to keep up. This emotional trap drains finances faster than any bill. Chasing approval or status through spending is a prison disguised as freedom. The rich know this. In fact, they exploit it. Entire industries thrive on selling you the illusion of status. The designer bag, the luxury watch, the exclusive lifestyle. And while you empty your pockets to look rich, they fill theirs selling you the dream. Wanting approval is another trap. People crave validation, and they often buy it with money. They overspend to feel included, to look successful, to impress. But approval fades, and the money is gone. The wealthy understand this cycle and avoid it, or more often, they use it. They sell to envy. They sell to status anxiety. They sell to the endless hunger for validation. It is a machine that keeps the poor chasing illusions while the rich collect real power. And behind all of this lies something larger, systemic power. Not all wealth comes from personal strategy. Some of it comes from structures built long before you were born. Institutions, networks, access to capital, elite education. All of these are advantages handed down to certain groups. Those born into wealth are given keys to doors most people never even see. They are plugged into networks where opportunities circulate privately. They are introduced to mentors, investors, partners who accelerate their growth. For them, the system is a ladder. For most others, it's a wall. This doesn't mean individuals cannot rise. It means the game is uneven. And the wealthy know how to use these structures to their advantage. They lobby governments to shape laws in their favor. They influence schools to keep control of education. They invest in media to control narratives. Systemic power is invisible to the average person, but it shapes every aspect of the financial world. The system is not neutral, it is tilted, and those who understand this tilt know how to surf the wave instead of drowning under it. So when you look at why some stay broke while others grow rich, you can't only look at effort or intelligence. You have to look at belief systems planted in childhood, fear that paralyzes action, the Machiavellian traits that shape strategy, the manipulation of perception, the traps of envy and approval, and the systemic structures that tilt the board. All of these forces operate together, silently guiding who rises and who remains stuck. And until you see them clearly, you are not really playing the game, you are being played by it. Power is never about strength alone. It is about knowing how to move others, how to make them act in ways that benefit you. Persuasion, negotiation, and alliances are weapons sharper than any sword. The powerful understand this. They don't waste energy fighting battles they can win through words. They don't burn bridges when they can build alliances. A single conversation, the right kind of influence, can shift fortunes more than years of effort. This is the Machiavellian art, convincing others that what serves you also serves them. If they believe it, they will follow willingly. Negotiation is another battlefield. The wealthy don't see negotiation as conflict. They see it as opportunity. They prepare, they study the other side's weaknesses, and they know when to concede something small to something larger. To them, every deal is a chessboard. A pawn may be sacrificed, but the king remains safe. Most people fear negotiation because they fear rejection. The powerful lean into it because they know that everything in life is negotiable. Contracts, salaries, partnerships, even perceptions. Alliances are a force multiplier. Alone, one person has limits. Together with the right allies, those limits vanish. Machiavelli wrote that a prince is stronger when surrounded by loyal supporters. Today's lycée live by the same rule. They don't try to do everything alone. They partner, delegate, and form networks that extend their reach. Time, people, money, all become resources to be leveraged. Instead of spending 10 hours working, they spend 1 hour directing others. Instead of holding all responsibility themselves, they create systems where others carry the weight. Leverage is the great divider between those who stay stuck and those who rise. Most people use only their own time and energy. The wealthy multiply theirs through others. This ability to use resources connects to another trait: patience. Most people crave instant gratification. They want the reward now. They want the comfort today. They spend their paycheck as soon as it arrives, buy luxuries before building assets, chase pleasure instead of planning. But the wealthy know that delayed gratification is the key to power. They are willing to wait, to invest, to let seeds grow. They understand that short-term sacrifice leads to long-term dominance. This is not easy. It requires discipline, vision, and above all, control over one's impulses. Machiavelli would say that fortune is won by those who plan carefully and act boldly at the right time. That is patience in action. A business may take years to build, but when it does, it can create wealth for generations. An investment may require restraint, but the payoff can be far greater than the temporary thrill of consumption. The poor often fall into the trap of chasing quick satisfaction, and in doing so, they give away the future. The rich endure the discomfort of waiting, and in return, they inherit the future. This ties into responsibility. Many remain broke because they see themselves as victims. They believe that everything bad comes from outside. The system, the government, the rich, fate itself. And while it is true that the world is unfair, staying trapped in the victim mindset gives away the little power you still have. The wealthy, even when faced with disadvantage, learn to ask, what can I control? What is in my hands? By taking ownership, they gain power, because the moment you accept responsibility, you gain the ability to change. When you blame the world, you give the world control over your life. It's not about denying injustice. It's about refusing to let injustice define you. Machiavelli understood that power comes to those who seize it, not those who wait for it to be handed over. You see yourself only as a victim, you will never move. If you take responsibility, even in small ways, you shift the balance. You move from being controlled to being a controller, even if only of yourself. And self-control is the root of all other control. But responsibility also means risk. Most people avoid risk because risk carries the chance of loss. They fear losing money, losing status, losing face. But what they don't see is that avoiding risk is itself the greatest risk. To stay still is to fall behind. To refuse opportunity is to refuse growth. The wealthy take risks, not because they are fearless, but because they understand that failure is part of the process. They try, they fail, they adapt, they try again. Every failure gives them information. Every setback teaches them something new. And over time, those lessons create innovation, new opportunities, new strategies that others never find because they never step forward. Look at the stories of entrepreneurs, investors, creators. The pattern is always the same: bold attempts, painful failures, sudden breakthroughs. Those who stay broke often cling to safety. But that safety isn't hidden. Their jobs are fragile, their savings limited, their opportunities scarce. The wealthy know that real safety lies in growth, in building systems that protect them long term. Risk is not a gamble to them. It is an investment in future strength. And this brings us to knowledge. Information is one of the most powerful resources of all. Those who have access, better knowledge, always have an advantage. That is why the wealthy invest in learning. They seek mentors, models, teachers. They read, they study, they surround themselves with people smarter than them. They know that information can open doors that money cannot. A single insight can change the direction of an entire business. A single mentor can save years of wasted effort. Most people stop learning once school ends. They enter the workforce and settle into routines. But the wealthy never stop. They see knowledge as capital, something that grows in value over time. They invest in relationships that teach them, networks that expose them to new ideas, communities where information flows. And because of this, they are always one step ahead. They don't just know how the game is played. They know when the rules are about to change. Machiavelli would remind us that power depends not only on strength, but on foresight. The wise ruler surrounds himself with counselors, not flatterers. The wise leader listens more than he speaks. The same is true for wealth. Those who listen, who learn, who seek guidance, will always outpace those who think they already know enough. So the divide grows wider. On one side are those who manipulate, negotiate, and build alliances, who leverage time, people, and money. Those who think long-term, who endure discomfort for greater gain, who take responsibility instead of waiting for rescue. Those who embrace risk as a teacher and seek knowledge as a weapon. On the other side are those who cling to safety, who chase quick rewards, who blame others while refusing ownership, who avoid risk and ignore learning. The first group rises. The second group stays trapped, and the difference is not luck. It is choice. It is psychology. It is the understanding of power. Because in the end, the game of wealth is not played in numbers alone. It is played in minds, in decisions, in strategies invisible to those who never look deeper. The powerful know this. They live by it, and unless you learn it, you will always be on the outside, wondering why effort never turns into freedom. So what have we uncovered in this journey? We have pulled back the curtain on the hidden psychology of money, the manipulations of power, and the traps that quietly keep so many people broke while others rise to wealth. It is not simply about working harder. It is not about waiting for luck. It is about understanding the forces that shape behavior, often without you even realizing it. Childhood scripts, cultural beliefs, and family lessons can program you to see money as dirty, or rich people as greedy, or ambition as dangerous. And when you carry those beliefs into adulthood, they guide your choices in silence, making you play small while others play bold. We saw how fear acts like an invisible fence. The fear of failure, the fear of rejection, the fear of risk. They keep most people inside a comfort zone that feels safe but is actually a prison. Meanwhile, the wealthy learn to step into uncertainty. They embrace discomfort. They use fear as fuel rather than a cage. That single difference, hiding from fear versus moving through it, marks one of the great divides between those who stay broke and those who get rich. We explored how manipulation of perception is not an exception, but a rule. The rich understand that appearances matter more than reality. They shape their image, their network, their story, so that others see them as assets even before they truly are. And once people believe in that power, reality begins to bend in their favor. At the same time, they exploit emotional traps that drain others, envy, comparison, and the endless desire for approval. While most people spend to keep up, the wealthy earn from the very illusions others chase. Then there is leverage. Most people use only their own time and energy. The wealthy multiply theirs through persuasion, negotiation, and alliances. They use the time of others, the skills of others, the money of. They understand that one person working alone is weak, but one person commanding a system is strong. They think long-term while others chase short-term pleasure. They embrace delayed gratification, willing to wait years for a reward that will transform their lives, while others sacrifice the future for a quick thrill today. And most importantly, we saw the difference in mindset. Many who stay broke live as victims, blaming the world, the system, the rich. But those who rise take responsibility, even when the world is unfair. They ask not, why me? But what can I control? They take risks, fail fast, adapt, and try again. They seek mentors, invest in knowledge, build relationships that expand their power. They never stop learning. They never stop moving. And in doing so, they claim control over their destiny. So what does this mean for you? It means the power is not outside you. It is already within you. You cannot control the system, but you can control your response to it. You cannot erase fear, but you can decide to act anyway. You cannot change the past, but you can rewrite the script you live by, starting today. The challenge is simple but powerful. Examine your beliefs about money. Ask yourself which ones serve you and which ones keep you trapped. Then make one change. Track your spending. Delay one gratification. Reach out to one mentor. Read one book that shifts your perspective. These small steps, repeated over time, are how you break free from invisible chains. Remember this: you have power over your mind, your habits, your decisions. That is where real freedom begins. The rich may play their games. They may manipulate perception. They may leverage the system, but you are not powerless. Once you see the game clearly, you can choose how to play. And when you choose with awareness, you step out of being controlled and into control. So don't let their illusions keep you down. Don't let fear dictate your choices. Don't let envy drain your future. Break the invisible chains. Claim your power. Start today. If this video opened your eyes, if it gave you something to think about, then like this video and subscribe to our channel, Psych Algorithm. Because here we will keep exposing the truths others hide, and we will learn how to turn awareness into strength, and strength into freedom.